Good morning and welcome to Crypto Charts Daily. This is the Crypto Charts Daily Report. Today is Friday, September 19th, 2025. Let's get right into it. As you guys can see, the market cap is decreasing here by 0.86%, down about 0.202 trillion from Wednesday. CMC 20 decreasing by 1.18%. Fear and greed still sitting neutral. Altcoin season still in the 70s. But the average crypto RSI is coming back to neutral here since Wednesday. All right, guys, let's get right into the technical analysis. If you are unfamiliar with the Crypto Charts Daily Report, this is the best place to get cryptocurrency technical analysis to keep you up to date with every single market movement. Starting off with Bitcoin, as you can see, Wednesday's analysis pretty solid still. We are just waiting to see how price rejects out of this order block. Again, we had this minor internal change of character here, and now the last bullish and the last bearish candle here, big daily candles here, become a resistance zone or an order block if you're familiar with trading terminology. But an order block is the last bearish, last bullish. There's a few different ways to go about it, but you could see how we are getting rejected now out of this order block, and we will just look for price to push to lows here of 107, or we will look for continued strength closing in this order block and then eventually pushing past the highs here. But it does seem like on this 4-hour chart, we are holding this low here that broke this minor high. And now we'll look for price to respect this low and push past the high of 118. And if this order block in support zone here doesn't hold, we will look for the break of 114,500, and then we will probably go test higher time frame support. Ethereum still accumulating in between this support and resistance. On the top here, we have a 4-hour order block acting as our resistance. And then down here, we have this support and resistance flip here acting as support. And we could see over the past few days how we just wicked both these areas. So now over the next day or two, look for the low to break of 420. And then we will probably go push down to higher time frame support. But if we end up breaking these highs here of about 46.50 and 47.50, we'll look for continued highs. XRP, we did flip support here, so we are looking for the break and retest. We are getting rejected out of this higher time frame resistance here, and we're either looking for the lows to break here of $2.95 to then go test support, or we'll look for the highs to break here of about $3.18 to then go look for more tests of resistance and more tests of highs. Jumping into our altcoins, we could see how Binance Coin did get a blow off here. We did say it could just accumulate into a blow off. And again, look for the test of this imbalance here or the break of this low of, I'm not going to say the number, for then a retest of higher time frame support and resistance. Solana making a big break off of this support to then go test resistance. Now we'll look for this low of 230 to break to then possibly shift down and test support again, or we'll just look for continued strength to then test this resistance at 260. Jumping down onto the 4-hour here, we could see how this low accumulated and broke highs here, possibly, and also filled all this imbalance. So we are just going to look for the test now of this 237 zone here. But again, if we get the break of that 230 low, we'll look for the test of support. And if we obviously end up bouncing out of the support, look for the high to break of 253. Cardano, we're still accumulating above the support. We did break and retest, and now we're still just trading in between now these highs and lows. We're getting rejected out of this newly minted order block here at highs. So we'll just continue to monitor this high of 95 cents and this low of 85 cents. Wow, awesome analysis on Chainlink. We did end up wicking that order block that broke this high and changed character internally on the lower time frames here. So we will look for either this to close bearish today and break this low, possibly running down to take this order block and test higher time frame support, or we will look for the highs of about $24, $25 to break here, to then go test this resistance and possibly break highs, or then our break and retest. I could very much see a scenario where we accumulate down into this support and this structure that broke highs here. Stellar lumens. So this is a big problem with stellar lumens right now. We did break this support and now we're testing it here. And if we don't break significantly and close above this resistance, we will just keep getting rejected here and go break the lows of 34 cents. We need to see a break of this high of 41 cents to then get the break and retest and flip this resistance into support so we could continue our push higher. If we do continue to get rejected here though on the higher time frames, we will push down into these lows. Avalanche, huge move off our break of structure, testing that imbalance perfectly there. So again, we will just look for any sort of resistance at highs here to then get some retracement down into this support down here. Hydra, much like stellar lumens, support flipped resistance, now hopefully flip support again. 3 daily candles wicked here on this zone, so it is becoming support. But if we end up breaking back below it and closing below this 23-cent support on the day, it will become resistance and we will look for the push to lows. If we get the close above this high of 25 cents, we could then look for the push to highs or the test of higher time frame resistance. Polkadot still getting rejected at these highs. Huge breakout, build back down for a wick, closed under highs. So we are going to look for a bit of a retracement to possibly fill some imbalance and test some higher time frame support. Uniswap still accumulating in this order block, but if we close below this low of $9 on the day, we will probably push down to higher time frame support. We need to close above this high on the day of 9,740 to then go push to highs. Ondo Finance trading and accumulating within this range of 90 cents and $1 here, with the equilibrium being that support and resistance of $1. We did come down, we did break and then come down and test $1 here, but if we end up closing obviously below this support line now, it will become resistance and will push back down to test support. If we break above the highs of $1.09 though, we could look for a continued push to highs. Polygon, of course, nothing new, getting rejected, that 30 cents price level, and we have been calling for a retracement to take some of this accumulation and test higher time frame support down here to then go look obviously for this break and retest. Algorand, we did end up testing this support. Unfortunately, it looks like we're getting a lot of resistance up here in all this structure. So if we end up closing below this low of 22 cents over the next few days and breaking below the support, we will look for a push to lows. But if we could see some continued strength, which it doesn't really look good here at the moment, but if we do end up closing above these highs of 25 cents or these highs of 26 cents over the next few days, look for the push to highs. Quant still accumulating in this higher time frame order block that broke structure here, broke the highs, unfortunately getting rejected at this resistance. So we'll look for either accumulation and then finally a test of that resistance again, or we'll look for the test of this higher time frame support and the fill of this imbalance at $80. IOTA, we are still just accumulating on that order block that failed to break highs here. So if we break the high of 20 cents here, we will look for a test of higher time frame resistance. And if we end up breaking below this low of about 18 cents, closing in this order block or below this order block, we will then look for the test of higher time frame support. XDC, nothing new, still just accumulating into that test of 6 cents to then go look for the push up to 10 cents. All right, that was the Crypto Charts daily report. Today was Friday, September 19, 2025. The Crypto Charts Daily Report is the best cryptocurrency technical analysis broadcast on YouTube, keeping you up to date on every price fluctuation, the bearish and bullish outcome of every scenario here, so you can make the most informed decision. All right, guys, enjoy the weekend. Peace out.